Hi everyone, today we are going to further refine the character, and I am going to start with the skin of the character. So from the previous process, we have already do more details for the clothing and the stockings, and I already show you guys how to add the textures to the stockings. And right now, if we check in grayscale, the skin is really bright compared to the entire piece, and also the hair. So our objective right now is to blend the skin and the hair into the illustration itself. Right, so let's get started. At this phase, I prefer to use a hard light layer to adjust the values of my skin tone, because a hard light layer is pretty versatile in the sense that it maintains the details on your skins and it does not go overexposed nor overburn the tone of your character. So I think it's a very good way to use it. At the same time, yeah, you can always go back if you do not like the color, or you can change the color afterwards. So right now, I'm just giving the skin a little bit more definition, like rendering the ambient occlusion, rendering the form. So we also lack definitely the shadow underneath her. And in fact, we have to definitely fix the neck, the anatomy of the neck, because right now she's definitely protruding a little bit too much to the front. So if we push the neck this way, she will look right. Yeah. And going back to my hair layer to fill in the void. Yeah, make sure to use 100% brush. Yeah, if not, there will be gaps around the hair. You can always fill in with a flat color and then clip mask to paint in the correct color later on. The important part now is to make sure there's no holes in your painting. Right now, we definitely have a problem with this part of the hair, because it's a little bit confusing where the hair does not look like it's in front of the hand, yet it's covering the arms itself. So what we can do is try to give it a little bit more values, darken it so that it looks like it's going in front instead of being behind. But we can also take this chance to draw more interesting silhouette for the hair, and also planning the flow. I think at this point we can merge down the lighting, because we can definitely paint this with a standard round brush. We already have all the values we want. Then we can take if at this point, if you want your hair to look a little bit more soft, you can do it by taking a softer eraser with 80% hard edges to erase. So your hair will look will have a softer edges. That way your hair doesn't look that fake. And yeah. And we already planned the silhouette beforehand, so yeah, this will definitely give it a better. Yeah, right now you don't really need to think that much. All you need to do is follow what you have already done and just adjust it to make it look cleaner and better. Just refining them. So at this point, it's up to you to whether to add more strands and details to the hair, or you can keep it as it is. For the sake of the tutorial, I will be doing more detailed hair than this. But yeah, the reason why we have not done put more details in the hair is because it is not really required in the drafting phase and the sketching phase, and you do not want the hair to be over detailed compared to the rest of your body. So I only think it's the right time to only add it now than later. Sorry, than earlier. So you know. You can also, if you reference some realistic hair, there's definitely like stray strands of hair that comes out of our bunches of hair, right? So yeah, you can add that in at this time. We are constantly looking for any dirty lines that we have caused the previous time we do the extraction of the masking. So yeah, keep a lookout for that at this point. I think that the detail is too strong, so since we have not merged down the texture, we can always play with the opacity of the texture. So yeah, sometimes textures you don't necessarily need to merge down your texture if it's not bothersome for you. The only time I will merge down again is when I need to liquefy or I need to fix the overall lighting. But at this point, when nothing is finalized, I try not to merge down anything. That way, we can constantly add details and without going through the counter painting process. Yeah, the key to this method is to make sure that every step that you take is efficient. So for skin places where there's a lot of enclosed area or corners, there tend to be a little bit of subsurface scattering. Therefore, I'm using a radar tone for the bounce light, the radar skin tone. So yeah, definitely keep in mind subsurface scattering is a big part of skin rendering. So yeah. And right now we can also add in the shadow that was cast by the strap around or the breast itself. So here we go. It's fine. Yeah, let's check the shadow that we have added. The skin tone looks a little bit gray and dirty right now. What we can do is we can lock it, and then we can either use a sponge tool to color it, because there's still a little bit of chroma in the value itself, in the colors. So the sponge tool would work, or you can just simply pick a radar tone and go and add it to the skin. Yeah, definitely find the balance. Try to find the balance you like. The thigh right now is very jarring, so we can also add some things. Oh, sorry. We can definitely add some values or shadow to it as well. Yeah, the key is also curvature. To show the curvature of the thigh. So our leg would have a dent here because of our butt muscle, and then it will slowly transition into the fats or the plain that is facing us. And then the edges here. Notice that there's some red here. That's because that's the shadow of the hand that we added earlier. And we can still keep it, nothing wrong with that for now. Yeah, but we can definitely refine that later on. Right now, that's just an indication. And I think we can definitely spend more time on the face. Right now, if we check the grayscale, we are looking at the thigh because thigh is the brightest place. We have toned down the skin value on the face. So what we can do is to lighten up the face right now with maybe a color dodge layer with 50% fill. In this case, if you want to use overlay, that is also fine, but I kind of find that to make a realistic face, overlay sometimes gives too much saturation to the entire character. So I do not advise on using overlay on on more realistic faces, whereas you can use overlay for painting that has a lot more color, a lot more vibrant than this. This is a studio lighting piece, so this leaning more towards the gray, so overlay might sometimes kill it. So I would suggest to use something else, maybe a hard light or color dodge would be a better option here. But right now we definitely can manually paint in the definition of the nose. And since the light comes from our eyes, something like a ring light, we can definitely put the light would probably hit the plane of the nose here. So the top part of the nose from here onward should be a little bit darker than the bottom part. So that's where we can add this. Yeah, and the definition of the face is starting to come in nicely. One thing that I think is making the character less realistic is the colors that I use on this part of the face. This red here is not supposed to be there, simply because that color is the color of the eyeshadow. We need a shadow for the skin itself, so I'm going to remove that color and add just a proper shadow color from the skin, like the color from here. We have, yeah, our character definitely lacks a cranium there, so let's extend this part of her head. Definitely at this point we are going to be more precise to like even the hairline, where does the hairline start, and drawing the transition between the hairline and the at this point also I'm going to merge down the hair because we have already blocked in what we already need. So right now it's just detailing, a lot of detailing. So as you can see, I have not added new values to the hair yet. Simply because it's much more important to fix things with just the value that you have before adding more things in. So for example, the hair here, yeah, it's very important to make sure the strokes are correct before adding the darker value. So you can go in step by step to make the painting look more and more richer each time. This way the blending will also be smoother if you add the value slowly, layer by layer. And also, yeah, by not adding more value at the earlier stage, you are only dealing with lesser detail, and that also means that if you screw up anything at this time or you want to change anything, you are definitely easier to change it at this stage than like spending so much time detailing something and then not being able to gonna spend more time to and then you're just gonna destroy it in a few seconds, you know. So yeah, definitely try to not commit so much and try to at every stage of your progress make it as efficient as possible for your next step. If let's say right now we want to stop this piece at this point, at least I have details on where should have details, and even for the hair we have simple detail, we have the big shapes ready, right? Even if there's no detail, this is already designed. At least we have something to show right now. So as you can see, I'm slowly adding all the hair texture in slowly by slowly. Like I said again, it's definitely not required to do so. But yeah, we can do a comparison later, and I'll open up a OPSD to check directly. Here is too yellow. Normally you have a little bit more red to the ear. Yeah, we have not touched the ear yet. To me, that's still, this is also a least priority, because ears are generally, it's a must to draw it nicely, but at this point it's not the most important part of the adding more details in also means to make it more dirty in some places, so a little bit of blending is required later on for sure. At this point, I think we can add some lighting element to the face. There's no hot spot on the face other than the eyes, so we could just pick white and adding it to places that has gloss. Normally for girls, we have gloss around the area, the tip of the nose, the side of the nose, the little bit on the cheekbones. Those are the hot spots for like for gloss. This is a very traditional way of adding a highlight to character, where you dab a little bit of the value and then you smudge it away with the smudge brush. Yeah, if anyone is familiar with traditional painting, this is definitely one way you can do it. And then of course, right now I want to smoothen some part, especially this part of the face. It doesn't look very enticing. It looks like there's too many value going on. We also forgot to give her so we can turn off to check the skin before, after. Definitely more definition to the character. Yeah, I think that skin have too much colors right now, especially this part. So maybe I will just tone down the highlight. Okay, I'm going to merge down the skin because I feel that we can shift the entire head to the back a little bit due to how the neck is right now the face looks like it's a little bit too in front, so maybe moving the head backwards might help with the piece a little bit more. And then yeah, once we are done with that, go in and fill in the hair with the hair layer. At this point, we can decide on a light source. I normally would render the light source for the separate pass, but that will require me to merge down. I think we can have a backlighting coming from here, since we have unintentionally added light source on top of the head here. We need light source on the stocking. We need light source hitting like part of the hair. So yeah, we can definitely add a light source coming from here. We just need to add more rim light to the entire pieces. But right now, let me fix the body a little bit. It feels like she's a little bit hunchback because of the amount of skin here. So maybe we can remove that to make her arch her body a little bit more. So there's definitely room for changes at this point. What we can also do is to enhance the lighting. Since we already established that the light comes from the top right, sorry, we can darken this part to show that the light actually comes from the top right. I tried to paint it manually, but it seems like color dodge still has a better result, I suppose. So I'm just going to use a color dodge instead. Okay, for now, I think we are done for the skin. For the next lesson, I'm going to redraw the hand and probably detail the ear, and we can also add some props on the ear according to the reference sheet. And I will see you guys again. Bye bye.